A very good evening and welcome to this edition, a great one indeed, 1 year of the Frontline. But this is the Frontline. My name is Charles Odongso, and the Frontliners are here. The guests are already here, but let's first bring for you the Frontline trigger.
Last few days have seen the Constitution Amendments debate take a nasty twist, with citizens subscribing to the two sides of the debate getting nasty and violent. The state actors have employed force to quell any attempts to take the campaign to block amending Article 102 of the Constitution to the public, never mind the fact that the Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs has called for an open debate on the matter. The number of legislators attacked by members of the public as well appears to be on the rise, with Kassanda South legislator Simeon Subuga joining the list of the victims.
This was a well-organized and calculated move by members of the opposition. One, to embarrass and intimidate those whom they have targeted, they have identified, they are in support of age limits. He had a video camera, he had a card, and who gave him those items? But this is a move which we are aware of. And in politics, these are games, by the way.
A sign of disrespect from our member of parliament. One, he was told to desist from making statements.
He should apologize. He should apologize twice. One, for having reported a constituent to parliament. These are constituents of ours. You have a project you are promoting and you are hiding from your constituents. They have to confront you to understand it.
And he should be mature enough. He should stop and keep quiet and think that these are statements that are not yet in parliament. He will debate them when time comes.
Is there reason to worry? Is this the way debate should happen in a democratic and free society? How can this debate be conducted in a peaceful and sober way? Away from the age limit debate, the efforts to amend Article 26 of the Constitution hit a temporary snag after the government failed to convince MPs with a justification for the current bill before the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of the House.
The bill is urgent and necessary to cure the current problems of delayed implementation of government infrastructure and investment projects due to disputes arising out of compulsory land acquisition process. As stated in the earlier presentation by the Deputy Attorney General, contrary to what some section of the public and media is portraying, that the bill is intended to grab people's land and render the citizens landless, the bill reinforces the requirement of Article 26(2)(b).
I'm yet to appreciate looking at your bill as it is. The principle you are talking about as the principle you intend to amend under Article 26. If it is not the principle of prior and fair and adequate compensation.
And I think other members in the committee are raising the fact that maybe we create a division or a tribunal specifically for land compensation and give it a time frame.
Two ministers have totally failed to show any single justification for the proposed amendment, let alone to fit it within the confines of the Constitution.
They first conceived the idea of amending the Constitution and then went looking for reasons. And that's why the Minister of Lands has brought here one of the cases in Iganga, in Busoga. The amount over which there is a dispute is 319 million shilling, including one person who wants to be paid $500,000 shilling. And government has told the committee that as a result of failure to pay $500,000 shilling, the projects have delayed.
This particular principle is dealing with the issue of where there is dispute. Where there is dispute, what happens? Should the project stall or should government take possession as the dispute is being resolved?
But I'm not surprised because many times these people that we poach from other political parties and bring in NRM and we give them positions always bring things that soil the ruling government.
We are taking cognizance of your contributions and the wisdom you've elucidated. There might be reason for second thoughts and amendments and adjustment. So, Mr. Chairman, give us some 2 weeks. Get back here after 2 weeks.
Mr. Chairman, we can give them 2 years to be sure that they will be ready.
This is Frontline.
Welcome back from the Frontline Trigger. My name is Charles Odongso, and this is the Frontline. This Thursday, 3rd of August, 2017. The Frontliners are here. Today, Honorable Norbert Mao was the first to arrive here. No wonder he has been rescuing some people who have been guests of the police, people who are trying to sabotage government program. Chairman Mao, you are most welcome back to this edition.
Have you read the charge sheet?
I've not yet looked at it.
It has nothing to do with government programs.
Yes, why were you at police?
We had planned to take our banners to Constitution Square. And we wrote to the police over 1 week in advance.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the police decided to come and interfere, and our activists engaged them. The police managed to arrest some people, including the vice president of DP. 2 people have actually been charged and taken to Luzira.
Yeah.
But thank you for the compliment for my keeping time. I was received very warmly by Pablo, the chief of protocol.
Yes, he did it very well. And you know why he did it well today?
I can only guess.
You can guess. Maybe you will talk about that later. But another, I think in order of coming, Ofono Opondo, the executive director of the Uganda Media Center, always time conscious, and today as well. Happy 1 year. Ofono, you are most welcome back.
Thank you, Charles Odongton, and our viewers. May I congratulate colleagues, the panelists, all our guests over the last 1 year, and we hope we shall keep improving our presentation to our audience because we owe it to them.
Good, good, good. And the indomitable one.
What does that
mean? The one who cannot dominate. Our voice of reason, and now she has changed the name again. Title, now political evangelist. Welcome back, by the way, from Gulu, and yes, you were in Gulu and Kitgum.
I was evangelizing, yes.
And welcome back, and so we have to congratulate you doubly for coming back from Gulu safely. And she had been stopped by police when I was talking to her. I thought they were going to arrest her for
I was asking
reckless
them,
driving.
why aren't you smiling? Why the man said, how can I smile when I'm hungry? I said, why are you hungry? Didn't you have your breakfast?
And happy 1 year again. You have been very consistent and on the front line. I must congratulate you on behalf of the viewers. And the guests, our guest today, Honorable Muhammad Kivumbi, the MP for Butambala, is a DP MP for Butambala, but he's also the shadow minister in charge of internal affairs, right?
Yes.
So if things turned upside down, he would be a minister.
People know him more as Mwanga Kivumbi.
Mwanga Kivumbi. This man has fought so many battles, you know, for the opposition, from Makerere days and on the street.
No, it's on skirmishes.
They're not battles.
He's still on skirmishes.
Meaning small fights here and there.
He doesn't know that.
It's a storms. Not real fires.
But Honorable Mwanga,
the one who launched the popular resistance against life presidency long ago.
Yes, yes. And he was responsible for that. Was it section 53?
The Mwanga Kivumbi versus Attorney General.
Yes, which
struck out sections of the Police Act.
And then which forced government to bring the Public Order Management Bill, which became the Public Order Management Act. And but congratulations for all those skirmishes, and you're most welcome to the front line.
Those are not those are not small battles.
Can you ask him which ones has he fought?
Yes, which student who is sitting
which have you ever had? Which fight
can research on Oponopondo?
Skirmishes.
But you're most welcome. Don't be diverted by OO.
The objective.
And the engineer Sechitoleko Kafero, the MP for Nachifuma.
Sure.
And he is actually by blood an NRM, but by law he is independent.
No, that's not true. I used to be independent in the 9th Parliament.
Yes.
But in the 10th Parliament,
he was both.
I came back home. I am NRM.
You came back and pushed, pushed back the other one.
It was a big fight, and I won it.
Good. Gentlemen and ladies.
It is not called bought. It was ransomed.
No.
Oh, yeah. You know, you are a command of language.
It was
they call them wordsmith.
Yes.
But gentlemen and lady, good to have you today. And I'm overjoyed that we have made 1 year as a frontline. We will, at an appropriate time, tell our most loved viewers, where we shall meet, but that will be another day. For today, we are going to be looking at the big events of the week. We are discussing, the land amendment proposals brought by government, and government is now being pushed back. Hostile reception interestingly, by both the NRM MPs and MPs from the opposition, and then the Muslim group also making an announcement that we are going to fight this. And Honorable Chivumbi, you need to start us.
Why do you say Muslim group also?
Because I didn't know it was taking that perspective, but I was surprised.
No, when you use that phrase, it means, or it implies
that the rest are not.
They are not significant. That goes
No. That is your own. Read me correctly.
I can help you, because he was saying that the MPs, the government and the opposition, as a cluster of people.
Political cluster.
And then he said Muslim also. Muslim as a cluster of people, in addition to these ones.
Stop bad mouthing.
So you cannot say that he was underrating
You're trying to imply they are not as significant.
But let's go to the issue. Honorable Mwanga, this matter was brought before you MPs. And you have fought it. Government is now going back, and the General Tafire, who is the owner of the bill, now says, the amendment bill now says that we are going back to review as cabinet. Was it dead on arrival, or you think that it will be brought back?
Honorable Nobert Mau and Honorable Matembe, who are senior lawyers here, they know what they call ab initio.
Void ab initio.
Void
ab initio.
Ab initio. From the very start, it was a dead bill. It was bad in law. It was unconstitutional. General Tafira and the Attorney General should have read a statement that was first issued by our Shadow Attorney General, Honorable Wilfred Nwagaba. If anybody dared to read that statement as it came out, he clearly articulated why that bill cannot stand the test of time.
Correct.
And on this, I must congratulate members of Parliament that for the first time, you have a bipartisan stance in Parliament on the question of land. There aren't many members of NRM or opposition who are not speaking the same language. They are all saying this bill is bad in law. Let's go to the gist of the matter. The Constitution, first of all, land is a right.
Yeah.
Honorable Miriam Matembe were in the CA. It is in Chapter 4 on the Bill of Rights. And they went ahead to say these rights are not given by are not granted by the state. They are God-given. And they went on to enumerate those types of rights, from right to life and reach the right to property. Now, when they reached the right to property, they said, okay, much as you have this right to property, it may not be absolute. Actually, the Constitution allows compulsory acquisition of land. And they defined the purpose.
Yeah.
It must be for national defense, for public safety, public morality, and the ingredients. But they said Parliament should come up with the law. Okay? Parliament should come up with the law. That is Article 26, subsection 2B. And while they come up with the law to operationalize compulsory acquisition of land, they must ensure it fulfills the 3 conditions. Okay, therefore, 1, it must be adequate compensation
prior,
that is prompt and
must be fair,
prior, and the people must have recourse to the courts of law if you are aggrieved. That's given. And you know there is a constitutional case judgment from Bunyoro, I don't know, by Osman somebody.
Yes, Osman Saman.
Yes, who went and petitioned Section 7 of the Land Acquisition Act. And the Supreme Court, it went up to the Supreme Court, declared it narrow and void and unconstitutional. Therefore, all that the government was required to do was to bring a law. It was to bring an amendment to the Land Act in fulfillment of what is given under 26 subsection 2B. Now, what they were doing, they were not repealing, okay? They were, I don't know whether they were adding, and you don't amend the constitution that way.
Yeah.
So we think, from our view, that this
so
was...
you support government in trying to... I don't want to call it...
No, we are not supporting government. First of all, they go on to enumerate the reasons why they want the government now to go without adequately, promptly, and prior compensating people. One of them, they said government projects.
Yeah.
I happen to sit on the budget committee of Parliament. Let's not mix issues. In this year, financial year, they are going to do what they call oil roads. There are 14 of them. And we have allocated, I don't know if I can recall, upwards of 800 billion on oil roads. Only 2 roads of the 14 have a feasibility study. Now, the rest of the roads, they are going to do what they call design and construct. Now, when you take the approach of design and construct, just imagine if OO had a plot of land. I come and pour there a ton of cement and, stones, bricks. Then I also put up a very big architecture design of a 20-story building. He will definitely ask for a little higher price than what ordinarily should have been asked. That's maladministration.
Good.
That is not to be addressed by amending the law.
Yeah.
The other issue that is critical, who else wants land? It is the investor. Which investor? They are Chinese. They
can be from anywhere. They can be from anywhere, let's say.
People who are investing in what is this land which is causing problem in Acholi?
In Acholi.
Amuru.
In Amuru.
Who is investing there?
Who is investing?
Do you know who is investing there?
I'm calling them Chinese in totality. Now, the question I wind up, the question of investment, and Africans need to be very, very careful. We remain the only continent with 60% of arable land that is unutilized. Now, the Arabs and the Chinese have put up a slush fund to come to Africa and grab land. And what are they doing? They are looking for leaders who are a little shaky. And that is where we had also, remember when we had the oil debate, the bone of contention on the oil debate was on the question of who will finally give out licenses to exploit. So it is a question of a colonial agenda. And our leaders here doing all they can to behave like Chisingiri and...
Chisingiri is what?
The
people who... The collaborators.
The collaborators.
Good. We are going to come back to that, but thanks for laying ground for the discussion. Let me come to your colleague here, Honorable Kafero. You are in government and an NRM MP. Usually you have polarized discussions, partisan discussions, this side and the other side. But on this, you decided to agree. Are the issues that Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi talking about the same that you disagreed with government on, with Otafiri and Amongin on, or yours was about people? Did you really have people in mind, or just because, like some people suspect, you MPs are actually the biggest landlords, and you knew that this was going to affect you directly?
I remember when this issue first came in the NRM caucus, when the president came to give us justification as to why we should amend Article 26, so many issues came up. One of the issues that I remember is that we asked, why are we looking at the problem and we are not looking at the cause? What is the cause of this? You see, I happen to sit on the committee on physical infrastructure.
Yes, very important.
You know, so many roads being constructed.
Importantly, you actually also led the committee on SGR,
yes,
the standard gauge railway.
Yes, I came across
which is one
very
of
important information, and it's one of the big projects we are doing now.
Yeah.
One of the things that amazed me, as a committee, we went to inspect the route for the Mbarara bypass, which is being constructed today. By then it was still bush. But we were borrowing money together with the expansion, doing the dual carriageway for the northern bypass. So when we reached Mbarara to try and see what is happening on the route, how to acquire right of way, we realized that an acre of land in Mbarara was a lot more expensive than an acre of land here in Kampala on the northern bypass. We were amazed.
Is that the market price, or what is quoted, or what is compensated?
What they were compensating, what people were claiming they should be paid, and they were already agreeable by government officials that say, yes, we are going to compensate this. Because that was one of the key issues why we went to see what is happening here. This is a lot of money which is going to go in lieu of compensation. So we went down. What we discovered is that government officials in strategic position identified that the route of Mbarara bypass would go via a certain area. They ran and bought the areas in advance at very cheap prices. So when the time of project affected people being compensated came, these people knew how much money was quoted by government. So they raised the prices. Now, even those people, the indigenous people now, the locals, realized that, hey, there was some money to make here. They also ran up. They raised. Now, how do you expect not to get stuck in such a project if you're beginning to compensate at very high prices? It is still happening on the standard gauge railway. Because right now we are acquiring the right of way. You will not get enough money to compensate everybody. You will get stuck. You will compensate this key, and now those who are vulnerable, you begin litigating.
Good.
So now we are saying, why don't you cure that?
So you have to cure the cause.
Exactly. Why don't you find administrative solutions to such people who take advantage and go and exploit government projects like that at the detriment of the masses?
Or at the detriment of government in this case? Of
government, yes. So by amending Article 26, you are not curing that.
Good. You are actually in charge of managing communication with under the Ministry of the Ministry of Information, and I think I saw somewhere the minister saying we are going to organize ourselves and then counter the bad, press that is coming out of this. Do you think that the problem is curing what the MPs are saying, or the problem is communication channeling and communication management? What in government, how do you think that this should have been solved?
Well, both.
Both.
First of all, I think it is the Baganda who say Sibambi Chaisa Mutere. Edivya Mutere. That if you tie luggage, could be good food, but depending on how you package it, it can make it offensive to the prospective buyers. So in this particular case, if you remember, I've been saying so here on this show, but also a week ago or two, I wrote an article in the Sunday Vision where I said government faces defeat on this amendment. And I said because the architects of the bill, and I referred specifically to the ministers who are selling, meaning the Attorney General and the Minister for Lands, did not do exhaustive, prior, effective consultation as they should have done. And this has become perennial kind of with the government proposals to Parliament. They have not enlisted the support of even the people who should support possible amendment either to the Constitution itself or the attendant laws that govern land. And so I am not surprised that the government has now considered and says they're not withdrawing, but they are going back to review. And I think this also vindicates, in a way, for those who have been saying that this parliament is useless, is rubber stamp because it's full of NRM. I think this is one of those instances that absorbs the institution of parliament. That even when we have some misgivings, there are times, particularly when things are glaringly shabby or faulty, people will stand up. On the matters of land, I think it appeals to the sensibilities, personal sensibilities. And I want to disagree with my brother, Monga Kivumbi. There have been instances when actually there has been bipartisanship. You remember during the tenure of the late Ayumi, when he was the Minister of Lands, is the one who shepherded the Land Bill 1998. Again, there was a lot of controversies, but at the end of the day, I think generally that Land Bill was eventually enacted through a bipartisan approach.
We were in NRM, we were not in...
I am saying bipartisan in the sense that clearly even when you said you were in a movement, in the politics of that parliament, there were two distinct lines. You remember there were people we used to call multi-parties and the so-called movement.
And they had a caucus.
And each side had exactly. Each side had a caucus. So I think we shouldn't live in denial. There were two distinct groups even then, and I think that Land Act 1998, was again, it was controversial, yes, but at the end of the day, it was passed through in a bipartisan manner.
Good.
And many controversial areas were left out.
Good.
Now, as to whether or not I agree with the two submissions that, and I said in the last year when we were here with the Honorable Tafira and Kiza Besigye, that the biggest problem this bill faced was extreme mistrust of government's own administrative and management procedures. And I raised here, I said, if you have cases where government has assessed compensation, there is no dispute whatsoever. But government has taken 10 years to compensate people.
Yeah.
Why do you expect people to believe that where there's a dispute, the government will be able to deposit that money in the court as you are now proposing? Good. I then raised the second issue. I said, even if it was for UNRWA or standard gauge, they don't control the treasury side. No. Supposing, yes, UNRWA Aaron Kajina wants to compensate people, but she goes to the treasury and Mr. Keith Muhakanizi says, I don't have money to give you to deposit in the bank.
What do you do?
How do you expect the people with whom you have a dispute to trust that the government will meet its part of the bargain. So I said what this government we need to deal with is really cumulative effects of mistrust arising out of a number of things that we, the government officials, don't do things correctly.
Good. I want to come back to Dr. Matembe before Chairman Mao. Honorable Miria, in your view, what do you now see, or what do you want to now see government doing? Because today I spoke to the chairman of the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, Mr. Oboth. He was supposed to have been with us, but he got a trip out of this country. But what he was saying is that this bill has not been withdrawn. It is still in abeyance. Now, that's a technical word used by MPs. It's in abeyance. But that abeyance means that during these 2 weeks, government has to take it back. Cabinet has to review it. We don't know what they will bring again. But in your view, looking at what we have discussed and what is on the table as a bill, what should be done in order to satisfy the people or to answer to them?
First of all, I'm happy, and I want to thank the parliamentarians for seeing sense. I'm sure they've been keeping their ears awake. And I want to thank awake to their constituents.
To the people.
Yes. And I want to thank Honorable Mao, because the other time when we debated here, I can't remember the strategies and the recommendations he actually gave out to
that's when Dr. Baremusi came here.
I think so, to the government, what it could do, and sort of the problem instead of running to the constitution to amend it. So I'm glad that people seem to be now hearing, or maybe getting quite scared and quite sensitive about the people they purport to represent. As for abeyance, this reminds me of our law, when we were discussing our constitution, and we said that we have different political systems running, multi-party political systems, and we said that at each particular time one political system is operational, the other one would be in abeyance. And as far as I'm concerned, the moment we had a referendum and we chose multi-party political system, the movement political system was supposed to be in abeyance.
But it is.
You talked, let me talk.
It is in abeyance.
So it was supposed to be in abeyance. And since he says it is in abeyance, I want to believe that this bill will also be in abeyance in the nature in which the NRM political system is in abeyance. In other words, it will continue swinging in the air.
You can't know the time it will be
and we
brought.
shall not see it again. But what I want to advise the government really, if I had thought that you would be able to put the other trigger, what I saw that was happening at Parliament today.
Which one?
With the Achori, before I left home, the news, what was in the news, all these Achori MPs swearing, you dare come to, is it Amuri?
Amuro.
They were all swearing, you know, how they are going to finish almost everybody. They are cross there, you will see. So, against that background, and against what I saw when I am given time, I will tell you what is happening in Orom sub-county in Chitugum. Against all those issues on land, I think this government of Uganda had better now take a serious ear, leave our constitution alone, and go and deal with the law the way it can sort them out and do the practical things that can help them. Because for me, as a person, as an individual, remembering what President Museveni said when we promulgated the constitution, when he said, I'm so happy with this constitution, except on the land. I want the land for my investors. So this provision, in my view, was not just coming to chew or to quicken the government projects. It has been ever since. When did we promulgate the constitution?
1995.
1995.
October.
So it has been in His Excellency's mind, how shall I change this law that gave land to the people and denied me the right to see how to give land the way I can do it. I think that is in mind, and I do not think that my thinking is misplaced. So now I want to tell him and his government that this is the first step to begin learning. And they can as well learn and learn more as to what the level of people, the extent to which they are pushing the people, and
Good.
how people may not take it any further.
Lightly. Good. Chairman Mao, do you think that this is the end of that bill from the way it was withdrawn, or you think that government will still bring it back in another form?
Charles, at least 4 of us here have ever sat in that chamber. Now, lawmaking is collaborative. Proposed laws can either be initiated by backbenchers, but usually by the government. And when the law comes, it is taken to the committee. That gives a chance for the whole country to make an input. The level of vigilance varies. There are laws where the public may not be interested. One time we were discussing the Patents Act. Virtually nobody came to the committee. Even in Parliament, we were virtually only the committee debating. Our chairman was the current deputy speaker. The Copyright Act, only musicians came. Now, land, the level of interest has been overwhelming. So, pressure works. If there's one thing we can learn, that pressure really works. When the public puts pressure, it works. Now, if the parliament passes a law and we think it is a bad law, we can still go to court. The point is, lawmaking is collaborative. The parliamentarians are just the cutting edge of the knife because they own it eventually on our behalf as our representatives. It is normal for the government to pull out a bill. They don't even have to say they are pulling it out. I said once here that the Russians, when they are retreating, they don't say they are retreating. They say we are advancing home. That we are advancing towards home. So I wouldn't be surprised if the government is advancing towards home. It is, for all intents and purposes, a retreat. Because a retreat is about direction. If you are moving back to your barracks, whether you say you are advancing to your barracks, either way, you are not engaging anymore.
This is now advancing to the cabinet.
The current US Senate said repeal and
repeal and replace Obamacare.
So.
Now, using that parallel, this is actually one of the healthiest things that Parliament has done. It means that there are issues that threaten the security of tenure of the MPs. And this is one of them. Now, no MP wants to surface in 2021 and be accused of being the one who opened up this, made land vulnerable. No one wants that. Just like in America, some Republicans who were diehard Trump supporters have defied him because they know at the end of the day, you have got a home base that you must fight for. So, this is a good thing. But overall, like I said earlier, and I thank the Honorable Miriam Matembe for acknowledging that, if indeed the government really has the intention to solve the problem which they have stated so clearly, and I agree that that problem exists, of delays, the government has gone to look for it in the wrong place. They remind me of a man who lost his ring in some dark corner of the street, but he was found under a street lamp looking for it. And when he was asked, "What are you looking for?" he said, "I lost my ring." And they asked him, "Did you lose it here?" He said, "No, but this is where at least there's light I can see." So this is how the Uganda government is behaving.
Good. We have just about 3 minutes to go for the break, but I want to give our guests, because when we come back from the break, we are going to go into the next topic, the issue of, I will come back to you. We will be moving to another topic, which is also an important topic in Parliament right now. But Honorable Chivumbi, now moving forward, you, he talked, one of you talked about the issue of the goodwill, mistrust, and all that kind of thing. How do you think that that's something that government needs to work on in order to succeed in major, major legislation to come, or you think that it is lost, gone?
Apparently, we are not on the same page. I don't even trust that the president on this issue is going to let go. As Honorable Miriam Matemba said, it has been his stated objective for quite some time. And he's a fighter. And I think this was the first dry run he tried to test the caliber of Parliament. He would be so hard done if really the dry run proves unsuccessful.
Was it just a testing ground?
That's my, you see.
With such a major, sensitive topic?
Yes, because you see.
Throws in a stone
to see what comes in there. And therefore, to combine what Honorable Mao said, people have to stay vigilant. I have been made to understand unless something happens. Part of why we have this quick recess is for the brigade to go to Chankwanzi for a lecture on land, on why the amendment is important. So I think they are still trying to do something. Remember, this was against the background that Parliament had rejected his motion on piecemeal amendment to the Constitution. Government itself committed. I remember General Tafe said, we are committed to bring an wholesome, all-encompassing, comprehensive amendment to the Constitution. The turnaround, even when you had a committee on land, probe committee going on, to quickly bring this amendment. My humble view was that they wanted to test the resolve of Parliament. And all I can tell Ugandans, if this is withdrawn, it's the people's victory. It's the people have stood firmly, and kind of, I remember in my constituency, they had to tell an MP before you could address, please tell us
your view.
We want only 2 issues. Tell us where you stand on land and on age limit. The rest we know, you know what you are going to tell us. You tell us things are okay. So people must stay vigilant. Leaders of political parties like Honorable Mao and General Muto and others, and all civil society leaders, we need to still go to the country and mobilize people and civic educate people, so that this kind of maneuver should not happen again.
Good.
Because my humble belief, and I quite have some information, is that still they are working to ensure that the overall objective is achieved. And it's not yet Uhuru.
Okay. Last word before we go for the break. Honorable Sechitoleko, Miriam, we shall come to you after the break because we need to go for the break after Sechitoleko. Your party is being accused of lacking the trust, and indeed this time the lack of trust leads it to, one of the members, actually the chairperson of the committee, said this is a ridiculous proposal, and then you just decide to withdraw it. You look shambolic, you look messy, you look, funny. What is the way forward for you as a party?
Yes, whereas it's true that the party is organizing, that its members convene in Chankwanzi.
You're going to convene?
To be spelled.
Yeah, sure.
You know the spell,
but the truth of the matter is not that we're going to talk about this land issue. What I know about the president is a very listening president. If the people say no, he will concede. On this matter of land, we are going to stand with the people. Yes, there's some.
Are you saying on other matters you will not stand with the people?
Of course, on so many matters, we are going to stand with the people. But the
You
fact
better
that
say
we are
that because
talking
you are
about
their
land now-
representative.
Yes.
So you have to consistently stand with them.
Absolutely, I agree with you, Charles. And in this case, we are going to convince the president that this is not tenable. We cannot continue like this. Let's cure the cause, not this, because it will not work. But also, we cannot amend the constitution piecemeal. I tried it. I was advised. And I've been waiting all this time. I was really bothered when the speaker said, okay, we can receive this, but I understood her later on because we had not known what was in the bill, the proposed bill. But I'm very sure that that's the direction we shall take. We shall say, let's go to the people. In form of a constitutional review commission, we take all those possible amendments or proposed amendments, let the people have an input. That's what the NRM stands for.
Good.
For the people.
Good. Let's go for a break, and then when we come back, I will. Dr. Matembe wants to really have a say in 1 or 2 minutes on just finishing the land thing. But then we'll be moving to the next topic of the week, the issue of the age limit debate. But let's go for that break. Gentlemen and ladies, we are back from the break. This is the Frontline this Thursday, the 3rd of August, 2017. My name is Charles Odongtho. And the Frontliners are all here. Chairman Mao, Mr. Ofonopondo, and Dr. Miriam Matembe. They are all here together with our guest today, Honorable Mohammed Chivumbi, together with the Honorable Kafero Sechitoleko. And we are looking at the main news in the week. But before we went into the break, Dr. Matembe had promised to give you some 2 minutes on the land thing, so that we move to another topic.
I want to say something on the land issue. As these guys go to Chankwanzi to be anointed
as
by...
the NRM MPs
as
go.
the NRM...
They're not guys. Some of them are ladies, some of them are...
But I want to ask,
yes.
Chankwanzi is supposed to be a political school.
Yes, it is.
For all Ugandans. Why is it that it only entertains the NRM members of parliament and not Ugandans as a political school of education for Ugandans? Why? So it is a school where the gods anoint these people. When they are dealing with controversial issues, they go and get anointing to come and do their own thing. So for me, don't talk to me of Chankwanzi as a school where people go to deliberate on national issues. What about if the whole of parliament was going there for a retreat to discuss issues,
but have you people
which
in
they
opposition
can't discuss here? You don't take away my minutes, and you took me to that thing. But anyway, Ugandans have listened. In
Yes.
Chankwanzi there, down the river there, hey, there is serious anointing and sparing over these people to come and do wrong things. Okay, now, as they go there, I want to tell them actually that if they intend to really bring back that law, they are just playing around. Because I am just coming from Chitugum. I had gone to Chitugum.
Kitgum.
Kitugum.
Kitgum.
Kitgum. Okay. I'm a Mnyankwe. I've gone.
No, most Bantu words end with a vowel.
I had gone to Chitugum to build the skills. To build the skills of the women members of council, particularly at lower levels, LC2, the sub-county councillors with the speakers and the chairpersons. And I had gone there to train them on principles of good leadership and why women should participate in politics and how they should be helped and how they can work and influence the governance agenda and make it responsive for women's interests and concerns.
Yeah.
Having talked all that, what concerned when these people came out to talk, and I was talking to 5 sub-counties out of the 9, when they responded to my teaching, their concerns was their land, the land question, and they poured out their outcry that there is land in Orom sub-county in Chwa East constituency where Oriem Okero is MP. They were crying that our land is going, that government wants it to build a barracks, and the government wants 4 square kilometers of land for barracks. And that the people and those local leaders at the sub-county have looked at the issue, and for them they say, if it is for our security, just an armed touch would be sufficient for us. Why this huge barracks? So that is the views of the people. They don't want to part with their land for barracks. They are talking of a detach. But the outcry was Oriem, the king of Uchwa, of that place,
he's an MP.
of Chitugu, that he's a king, that with the MP who is called, is it Margaret Ramwak, and the district chairman, Oriem Jackson, they said, Matembe, come and save us. These very people, because they are powerful, they have money, they are selling us, and they are selling out our land. And they said that when we talk, the RDC, the GISO, are saying we shall arrest you, keep quiet. So for me, I was not aware about this issue.
Okay.
But it is down there boiling. We are talking over moorland. I saw the MPs there. Now these local people are also swearing down there. So as the government talks about this land and the amendment of this law, they must know that the issue is really deep.
I will probably give room one of these days. We shall maybe invite Okello Riem, and he's the minister in charge of foreign affairs, right?
Yes.
Okello Riem, the minister in charge of foreign affairs, minister of state in charge of international relations. But we shall probably get him, and so that we can give him a right of reply, because those are very strong accusations, and you know that it is an issue which is very sensitive. But thank you so much.
What they told me. Actually, they told me, Honorable, since you have come here, go and tell the government, really we are suffering.
Good.
So I'm talking.
And granted, let's start on our next, move to the next topic, the issue of the age limit debate, how far it has gone. Now you are going to Chankwanzi. On this, I need to start with the Honorable Sechitoleko himself. We have had, let's start from the discussion that is going on right now, or what is happening now in Parliament. Not really discussion, but what is happening in Parliament. Why are, a segment of the NRM MPs insistent on the fact that this 102 must be amended? What is your justification for it?
First of all, I want to make or put the record clear. I have been hearing different media houses saying it is this Sechitoleko who is spearheading the amendment or the lifting of the age limit.
You're not spearheading, but you're one of them.
I have not pronounced myself on this matter. I was here on Article 144 in regard to the age of judges. You remember that?
Yes.
Actually, the MP who was here saying that he even touched me in ginger, giving him sugar, he came and apologized. I wish he had apologized before the Honorable Matembe here, who that day insisted that I was probably a liar. But thanks to God, that one has come to pass.
Good.
But I think what they call probably spearheading, to me, it's actually consultation.
Or mobilization?
Not mobilization per se, because among all the 430 plus MPs, I am the only MP who has widely consulted on this. I have been convening meetings, some in President's office, some in the precincts of Parliament. I have so far met with over 60 MPs from Central Region, 27 from Busoga Region. I am about to meet those from Teso, Bukedi, then I cross over to the north, Karamoja, before I go to the west. Not necessarily to persuade them to lift the age limit, but to find the best way forward for Uganda. Because this is going to come before them, although it's not yet there. Best as in, we should have a peaceful, stable, and prosperous Uganda, even beyond 2021. It is very clear that whereas some MPs are for lifting the age limit, there's also a very big number which says, hold on a second, we need to see something about this.
What is your personal view?
My personal view...
your personal stand?
My personal stand right now is that why don't we take this to the people through a Constitution Review Commission, let it collect the views of the people.
When the views are collected through the Review Commission,
yes,
it will definitely come back to Parliament.
Absolutely.
The 102B is not an entrenched article.
I know.
It can be amended by Parliament,
without
meaning that it will still come back to the two of you.
Correct.
The two, and that I need to ask you for your personal view, just like I will ask Honorable Chivumbi. What will be your stand?
The popular view of the people is my stand. That's why we have to go to the people.
There is no popular view right now.
Of course.
It will not be there
because
when
we are going to consult. But also, hold on a second. This is very hot, and we must get it there.
Under your collar.
There's also another new idea that is coming up. About 15 plus colleagues of mine and I are already in the advanced stages of forming a think tank. We are already identifying a number of articles within the Constitution, a number of acts, parliamentary acts, and indeed statutory instruments that have given the current president a lot of power. We are intending to propose to the Constitution Review Commission, after it has been set up, because already 18 names have been proposed to the president by the Honorable Tafide. By the way, I proposed 2 out of the 18.
Which ones are
that
those?
Shows. No, right now I can't say it because it's before.
Me?
Honorable Matembe, that is before the president. He will announce. If you are part of them, you will be lucky then. However, what I'm trying to put across is that in the interest of bringing back confidence of the people in our government, we are going to propose a set of amendments. Set of amendments that try to reduce the powers of the sitting president now.
You want to propose it to him that
No,
you reduce his powers. You think that is possible?
Let me wind up. You're going to go to to make sense out of what I'm trying to say.
Because I want to bring in your colleague.
He's going to come in. After doing that, we are going to propose an article to cater for the transition period. We agree on a transition period, but we also agree on a method of choosing who manages the transition. But we do not attach age limit on who manages the transition.
Good. Let me bring in your colleague.
So that way.
But before I go to your colleague,
yes.
Again, you have scattered around my question.
No.
What is your personal view as we talk now? Let's imagine, because look, the principle I'm talking about is this. Article 102B is not entrenched.
Correct.
So it is your role as Honorable Sechitoleko to either reject it or to amend it. As we talk now, what is your view on it? Do you want it amended to remove it or not? Because it is not wrong or it is not right necessarily.
You very well know that I am a people's representative. Why don't you want me to get views from my people? I have been in my constituency traversing village per village, talking to them about this.
What do they say, the people of Najifuma?
I'm still consulting with them. By the time I'm done,
No,
I'll come with a position.
You want to ask
here.
a question?
Yes.
A question only.
Because we are debating.
Yes.
You know, at the beginning, you asked the question which you couldn't answer. We have a constitution. The constitution states clearly that the president retirement age is this.
Yeah.
Okay? It says judges is that. Civil servants is that. Now, what is the problem that he's going around the country looking for a way forward? Way forward for what? Which is not clear, which is not stated clearly
ask him.
as to how we transit, as to how a president will hand over power to another president. What is not clear right now
with
in
Article
our Constitution
102
that we have to go consulting all over the country.
Whereas everything is clear, there is a very big section of Ugandan, including MPs, who still think that we should amend Article 102P. So that deserves consultations. It brings up consultations.
Good. By the way, amongst the ones you have met in like you said, in president's office, wherever you have met, what is their popular view so far?
Are the whole of many people who want.
What is their view so far?
Of course, we have those who are for and those who are against.
Good. Honorable Chivumbi, you have been following this debate, of course, from your colleagues, and you're debating it. The truth of the matter is there is a discussion going on in Parliament. Majority, or not on paper, not officially, but mobilization is going on. And I've been in Parliament the last 1 week, and I see this mobilization. How are you mobilizing the other side?
I happen to chair a forum in Parliament that does a lot of work. But on human rights, constitutionalism, and the rule of law.
Yeah.
By the way, it's an impressive kind of work. I know that the vast majority of members of Parliament, if not handled differently, are opposed to the lifting of the age limit.
As the other time.
Yes. But I know also Kafero, to be honest with him, is that he's swinging a package.
A package or
Yes.
a proposal? What do you mean a package?
It's just this one is just swinging a package. You for members of Parliament, do this, we give you this. That's his trade. There's nothing more than that.
But in what capacity is he doing it? In what capacity is he doing it?
There is a precedent. Don't you remember?
You're saying a Kafiro is a trader.
No,
Yeah,
there is
literally, this
precedent.
Kafiro here, you shouldn't confuse members here that is proposing this amendment. He's just proposing a lump sum of money that should be given. This Kafiro here, I've even had a discussion with him one-on-one, which I will not reveal as a decent man. As a decent man. This one is simply saying, if they give us this, we give this. So that's all you are doing in Parliament. That's all you are doing. And Kafiro is not even part of the bigger apparatus, okay, that is determining things. That one I know.
At what level is he?
This Kafiro here.
He has a personal thing with the president, as you remember.
It's just there. He shouldn't be playing big. It's not part. I know the apparatus is handling this.
Are you suggesting he hasn't nominated people to the Constitutional Review
That
Commission?
one I don't know. That one I don't know. So, but he's here blowing hot. So he's just hawking around with proposing, should we be given this? That's all he's doing. It's not part of the thing. But the bigger question before, you see, every generation has its own historical mission. It either betrays it or fulfills it. Handed to us, Franz Fanon. Handed to us, I was going to acknowledge.
Okay.
Handed to us.
It's important because that's where President Museveni comes from.
Handed to us and me and Kafero by the likes of Matembe was the constitution. This constitution, I don't know whether Norbert Maubo was a member of Parliament then, when it was amended.
Yes.
To lift age limit.
You and
I happen to have been a young man By that time, I was reading a group called Popular Resistance Against Life Presidency. We shouted ourselves horse. Alerting this country that when you lift the term limit, then you will be ushering in a life presidency. Presently, my even thinking is that it's beyond the life presidency. We are nearing going to something like North Korea or Cuba or Syria or some kind of, I don't know. Because there is an obsession now with a group being in power perpetually. Now, you will remain up to the 10th time, okay, if you go that road of amending. But what we must all ensure is that Uganda deserves a peaceful transfer of power. Our fathers, my father didn't see it, okay? I'll be hard done if I don't see it. My own impression is peaceful transfer of power and term limits are not for unpopular people. Because that's an argument people, you get it? Term limits and these limits to leaders are not for leaders that are unpopular. Because if a leader is unpopular, there will either be an uprising and you are removed. Or after 5 years, you will be defeated. So term limits were literally meant to control leaders that have done well. And they could probably win.
Actually, that was the point of Obama when he came to Ethiopia. That he thinks he's still a pretty good president and he has enjoyed the job, but the constitution says 4 times 2.
So the thinking of these people is that term limits are for leaders who are unpopular and are not loved. No, to the contrary. It was intended to limit leaders who will rule for life based on, because eventually, even if you are so loved, if you stay for long, the overall effect that a country will suffer.
Good. But let me ask you a practical question.
That's where I come from. I come from a paradigm whereby I think Uganda deserves a peaceful transfer of power. And we've got to begin on that chapter.
Good. But let me ask you a practical question which is going on now. You know very well, and we have discussed this in the corridors of Parliament, that the push by the Kaferos and many others that we shall continue bringing on this show is real. Yeah. They are mobilizing. Now, against that mobilization, what are you doing? Are you looking at some trade-off? Because there are some people in the corridor of Parliament who are talking to them, opposition people, that we know you are bigger in numbers than us, but can you accept to give us what do they call it? What do they call it? The 2-term limit, and we trade it off for the age limit removal. Is that what your opposition people are doing, or that is just a red herring?
First of all, the Kaferos and the members of Parliament are not the ones pushing for the lifting of age limit. This scheme.
Do you want to tell us who is pushing for this, Honorable?
The people who are pushing.
Who is pushing?
For the removal of age limit. Number 1 is President Museveni.
Number 2?
Number 2 is his family.
Number 3?
Number 3 is cohorts.
Who are the cohorts?
So, these Kaferos here, actually the actual scheme is being handled by Chiriowa and group.
Which Chiriowa?
Not this one.
Which Chiriowa? For us, we are just trying to make a better, something better for Uganda. We are just looking for solutions. You should tell them.
I don't even where the group sits. So forget about what these ones do. So the whole scheme, because I was talking to one MP who has a court case, and the State House controller called that MP. He says, you have a court case. You are likely to win. Can you discuss with the president whether you will agree on the question of lifting age limit? And this is the senior State House operator talking to somebody who has a court case to be determined by courts of law.
You hear? Whether
And
to go back
that
to Parliament
case,
or to
that
lose.
so obvious, it has not yet been decided because if he refused that discussion. Therefore, the actual push for lifting of age limits is none other than President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And Uganda must put it to him.
But he said recently,
Forget
he said he's not interested in the debate.
Forget what he says.
So what should we believe
as
in?
One said, was it Honorable Winnie Banyuma that walk like a duck?
The one that walks like, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, then it is a duck.
It's a duck. So actions speak louder than words.
Who is walking like a duck? Who is?
You know it. This scheme was started in the last parliament by creating of fake constituencies in terms of creating new counties. Yes. It was kind of to build an artificial majority in this parliament. And this was being done none other than by the cabinet. I know why, you remember last time, why a lot of amendments were saved. It was to achieve what Kafero now wants us to go to. That you see, just amend the name of the Electoral Commission, save for others, so that when you bring others amendments that we request for, you'll still bring the age limit and say, now that you have a Constitutional Review Commission, and now that also, us we're also bringing the issue of lifting age limit. Now, Nobert Mao and his DP will also bring their own.
But you requested for Constitutional Review Commission.
Yes.
Yes.
So I know now the argument they are bringing it up is that you mix. Okay. And that's where we have to be clear, is that when you have a system that is fraud, from the word go, be very careful even with the Constitutional Review Commission, because the Constitutional Review Commission right now, after they have a debate, some think they should not take the Constitutional Review Commission pathway. They should come to Parliament, cash them down, get it out of the way they had wanted it by end of November. This year, Kafero
good.
End of this year. And now the likes of Kafero are simply saying, let's take it to the people.
The people said, please limit our constitution.
I will want you to be, I will bring you later. Let me first bring in Dr. Matembe and then Chairman Mao. Starting with Dr. Matembe. Given this situation that you are seeing, playing out in the House, which is supposed to be the responsible body to either take it to the people, because eventually they will take the decision. If it is supposed to be the review commission, it will still be Parliament. If it is going to be them to finish the work, start it, finish it from there, it will still be them. What is your view?
For me, let me tell you, I do agree with Chivumbi that the whole project is President Museveni's project, and of course his people. As for Museveni's honesty, who doesn't know that President Museveni says one thing today and says another one tomorrow? Who doesn't know? I think all Ugandans who have listened to this
a healthy person should be able to change their mind if there are new evidences. Excuse
me, what I know is that a leader must not have two tongues. we even have a proverb in Runyankore.
The one the
late Kategaya was giving.
Talked about.
So President Museveni is the one behind this scheme. And the other day I said, I don't know why this man does not understand that surely a leader must have sense of shame. This is a man who clearly said there that somebody above 79 years, 75, is not vibrant, is not good enough. And in fact, when they asked him, so will you, he said, I have no quarrel on that one. I will not come again. But if you remember, when President Museveni had taken over power and how he declared that a leader must serve his people, a leader must do something which his people want, and after that he said, excuse me, I'm not your servant, forget it. I'm not here to serve you, I'm here to serve my own ideals. That is the type of a person they are talking about. Now what this man is saying, For me, I lived with Museveni, I worked with Museveni very, very intimately and very closely, and I parted company from him because of going into a wrong direction, which I did not join him for. So I know whatever he does, I fell a victim of his schemes and his tricks, but when I learned them, I parted company with him, and I can never be deceived again by them. Now, when this gentleman is talking about looking at the provision that give president too many powers, let me tell you, when we are making that constitution, we were very mindful of not giving president too much powers on his own. And that's why in that constitution that we have, there is no single action which the president is not supposed to take in consultation with the people's parliament, especially when it comes to, appointing people, there are so many things which he must do in consultation with parliament. We had hoped that parliament would check on his powers. We had hoped that parliament would be people's parliament and would represent our interests. We didn't, and actually parliament had tried to do that until they bought them. You remember at the time of the term limit, the president kept telling people, I will stick to the constitution. And he told me personally, that certainly he knows the constitution and he would never change it. What did he do? Let me tell you, when we went to Chankwanzi, we asked this gentleman, President Museveni. I was on a NEC committee, and we found President Museveni in Guru. And these people had started talking of term limit, of removing the term limit. And we asked him, Your Excellency, people are talking of removing a term limit, and we are going to Chankwanzi. As NEC, as members of parliament on NEC, what should we do or say? Just wait a minute. And he said, that one is not going to be an issue at all. We are not going to discuss that one. On reaching Chankwanzi, it was the main subject that we discussed for 2 days. And he's the one seated there who said, on this issue of removing the term limit, I would like you to discuss it of Chisanja. On this issue of Chisanja, giving him another term, I would propose that you discuss it in terms of removing the term limit. Oh my God. That is the first time my eyes opened wide and said, what? Is this the gentleman that I have all along talked with, and he tells me he cannot do that? So he is the one. Now, taking it to the people, as he says, the people, the original terms of constitutional review did not contain the term on changing the term limit. Never. It was not part of the term. Now, down the road, Chionga was the national political commissar. They connived outside there. And eventually, they brought it in at the end, after Chankwanzi. When the Constitutional Commission had asked people about other things from Chankwanzi, they brought that thing, they sneaked it in there, and they took it to Parliament, and the parliamentarians did not want it, but they had to pay the money to change. Therefore, this issue of talking about the people out there is not the issue. It cannot work. And finally, in case you don't ask me again, I know of another scheme which is coming out there.
Which one?
This scheme, they are going to have lawyers, you know. You have been hearing how they want to challenge the constitutionality of this provision as being discriminatory under Section 21 of the Constitution. And they have a group of lawyers. One of them is Philip Engulu. Philip Engulu. I understand he was also paid fees and his siblings by, the State House scheme and that kind of thing. So he owes a lot to Museveni, because if Museveni was not there, he wouldn't have studied. So they are using him to go and challenge the constitutionality of that provision under Section 21 of the Constitution, on the Constitution. And they are planning that Rukutana, isn't he the deputy? The deputy.
I need to bring in Chairman Mao.
I'm finishing. The deputy attorney general because I understand the Attorney General is not willing to do that. The Deputy Attorney General will concede that indeed the provision is unconstitutional, and then he will facilitate a consent judgment, and that way they will have sorted out the problem. That is another scheme which is in line.
I need to bring in Chairman Mao at this time, because the truth of the matter is, in constitutionalism, I know though that it's not possible for any court to say that a section of the constitution is unconstitutional against the other.
If they bring Kavuma, if they bring Justice Kavuma,
it would be a tall order, but let me...
will give a political
I wonder how they would do that. Chairman Mao, your view on this. Perhaps, Chairman Mao, in your 3 minutes, you also need to tackle the issue of what is now happening, the violence that is coming up. You saw their colleague Simeon Subuga being manhandled by someone in Mubende during the Kawaka's celebration. And this is coming against what Otafire had advised, that there is supposed to be allowed debate. Debate should flourish on this matter, you know, with tolerance, with acceptance of each other's views, and then, of course, also taking it from what happened to your members today. The pictures are there. You can talk as.
I've been reviewing the clips of the gentleman who is called Chuma Cha Yesu. I know for sure that what our colleagues from Parliament have been talking about are about power dynamics. It's good that they know what is being schemed. I think it is important. I agree with Honorable Mwanga Kivumbi. This is a chessboard. And like any chessboard, there's the king, that's Museveni, there's the queen, bishops, knights, then the pawns.
Yeah.
And the pawns in any chessboard are the ones who are at the front, because they are the expendables. I don't think the scheme of life presidency will suffer if Simeon Subuga's jaws get broken, or Honorable Sekitoleko loses his seat. I am a politician, but I also endeavor to be a student of power. I don't even think we can do much to put reason into the members of parliament. But it is up to us to really heat up the ground. We need to go really to the people, educate them, to realize that this is not a struggle for office. Now, for those of us who are considered very ambitious, who have ever run for president, and who have continued to lead political parties, when you get a microphone, people think you are dying to be president. For the first time, we have an issue which is not about ascending to office. It is about breaking the cycle of violence. I was very pleased to see someone like John Nagenda even implying that there could be genocide in Uganda if this kind of thing is allowed. Now, when an MP is beaten up, it simply means that the people are beginning to feel so powerless to confront the system. So they now attack those who personify the system at any local level. I don't support that kind of response. I don't support those who want to beat up members of parliament. But I have to tell you that I cannot pretend that I don't understand why they do it. Lastly, the truth is not just in majorities. You can be many and wrong. You can be few and right. There are reasons why those provisions of the Constitution were put there. The term limit was supposed to be a kind of a a bottom line for a leader. 2005, only 50 of us stood against the lifting of the term limit. It proved that it was a false bottom. We had hope that there's another bottom this time which cannot be removed. Alas, we have now found that even the age limit is another false bottom. So we have now the bottomless presidency. Now, the question for the NRM is, will they want Uganda to go down with one man? Do they want to transfer the challenge they have as a party? I mean, we have got economic empires that have mandatory retirement ages for chief executive officers. And it doesn't mean that they are incompetent. But rotation of office is a very important Republican principle, which we have got to stick to. I believe that this debate should be allowed. That is why Chankwanzi, which has now been annexed, I wish I would be invited to give a lecture to the MPs, because Chankwanzi has now been turned into, it is called the National School of Political Education, but no other party is allowed to hold anything there.
Like State House.
It has become a department of the NRM. I think that is extremely wrong. At the end of the day, what John Nagenda said is that somehow where the president comes from ends up being bloodied if the president departs in a bad way.
That is the truth.
It has happened to the north. We are still having wounds and scars. Here it was in the Lubiri. The only way we can break the cycle is to challenge the NRM. Go to Chankwanzi, don't discuss how to manipulate us, the country and the parliament, to agree to this scheme of lifting the age limit, but rather challenge yourself that it is actually possible to have another leader.
Good. Yes. Good. Oh, you will have the last word before we go for the break.
Well, there is an attempt to present as if President Museveni or those in NRM don't have interest in the country. We have equal stake. Let us look at the American Senate only this week or the last week, when they were debating the repeal of Obamacare. President Trump and his aides were on the phone. Vice President Pence was hovering over the shoulders of senators to try and cajole them, convince them, persuade them to vote their way. Remember the most prominent senator, John McCain, and I want to answer why you were trying to push Secretary Oko to state his position. You remember McCain waited until all the votes had been cast of the Republicans. He left everybody guessing, and then he came and cast his vote. And so I think that is allowed in politics. There is no problem whatsoever if President Museveni sits in State House and is on the phone as debate and voting is taking place in Parliament, as long as he does not put a gun on anybody's head. We can, in America, they have even paid lobbyists. They are paid lobbyists to go and lobby, to cajole, even to pay members of the Senate and the Congress, for that matter. So as long as it does not break any law. So first of all, I think that should be allowed to continue in a peaceful manner. I agree with the Mao that let 1,000 flowers blossom, the best will be picked. I agree with him that there's no reason why I should plan to beat or disrupt Mwanga Kivumbi's rally if he's against lifting age limit. Let me also organize another rally peacefully on the same ground and convince people.
Good.
The way there are strong views, albeit minority, that does not want perhaps this article to be lifted. There are many of us in the NRM, even when we are not members of parliament. The politics of Uganda is not only played in parliament. Members of parliament are our representatives, but they decide in consonance with generally what the population thinks. Correct. And therefore, there are those of us who are not members of parliament, but play a pivotal role in how members of parliament are going to decide things. When eventually there is a consensus in the NRM that we bring this matter, we shall bring it, we shall debate it. I can guarantee you we shall pass it, and nobody will intimidate us on that line. So just be rest assured. Now, this attempt to say people shouldn't change, leaders shouldn't change their minds. We have seen leaders who changed their minds. Perhaps we can also now say the sectoral cause of honors are being as naive or as foolish not to realize that they are being misled. If others were misled before, I think it is allowable also, those of us who are present today, to be misled. Yes, let us find by ourselves that we are being misled in the future. But I don't believe so, that we are very conscious. We are very conscious that the decisions that we make are for, first of all, our own good, but also the collective good. I just want to wind up by saying that this country, when they wrote the Constitution, they did not close the debate on any matter. Every day is a beginning of yet another chapter of this country. And so that should be how we should be conducting our politics. Those who think that they will blackmail, they will harangue, they will intimidate, they will beat up on Subuga, yes, if push comes to shove, I can bet that there are many people who are willing to throw fists either way. And you cannot guarantee that those of you who are beginning to throw the fists will win that battle or will win that war. So I just want to appeal that when let us do what the Constitution allows us to do, which is freedom of assembly, freedom of expression, and so on, in a civil way. If the framers, I would just want to repeat again, if the framers of the Constitution knew that this matter, this provision should be untouchable, they should have entrenched it, said, please go and pass it with the parliament and the local government councils and perhaps a referendum. They did not do so. They left it to the wisdom of members of parliament. Even if I also don't agree that we need a special transition clause. The provisions in the Constitution enables us to conduct peaceful transition.
They're just being shy.
Yes, even if you lift this age limit thing, if the people challenging NRM and Museveni want, they can defeat Museveni in a straightforward general election. I would just want yes, I would just
Kafir was
yes,
just being
yes,
shy.
Yes, I would
just being
yes,
ashamed.
I would just want that. I would just want that the people who don't want this matter lifted, this provision lifted, for example, I think they should have three-track mind. They should be able to say, supposing the people in parliament lift this age, what is our plan B to defeat this gentleman in an election?
Good. Let's just go. We need to go for a break at this time.
It appears to me they are already conceding defeat.
Good. That's the question that
they're invoking blackmail. We shall not
will probably give us as we end this debate this evening. But let's first go for a break, and then when we come back, we shall be touching briefly as we wind up the evening. We need to touch briefly on the unfortunate deaths that happened in Somalia, where we have we have our sons and daughters there. But let's first go for a break, and then we'll be right back.
At 12:40 p.m. Wednesday afternoon, the bodies of the 12 Uganda People's Defense Forces soldiers who died on mission in Somalia on Sunday evening following an attack from the Al-Shabaab touched base at Entebbe Air Base. The sight of the bodies being taken off the plane sent the relatives of the departed into tears. The UPDF started the official ceremony of paying their last respects to their fallen comrades, led by the Deputy Chief of Defense Forces, Lieutenant General Wilson Badi, and Commander Land Forces Brigadier Peter Elwelu. The bodies were then taken off the aircraft to the waiting ambulances amidst an official guard of honor from the officers of the UPDF. UPDF spokesperson Brigadier Richard Kademide says the bodies will be taken for cleanup and later to their homes for burial arrangements.
The bodies are being taken to Bombo Military Hospital for additional treatment and proper dressing. From there, they will be dispersed to their various places of origin for decent military burials.
The UPDF has promised to take care of the families of the deceased.
We have pension, we have gratuity, and we also try to support children of our foreign comrades in terms of providing them education in our
let me start with, as we wind up, I need just 2 minutes each of your comment. Honorable Matembe, one of the things that we need to keep in mind this year, 2017, is making 10 years since we went into Somalia as a country for peacekeeping. And now we have done well, but we are now seeing a lot of losses. What's your view of this?
First of all, before I go on that, I would like to make one appeal to Ugandans. I want to tell Ugandans on the issue which we are discussing on the age limit. I want to tell Ugandans that, you know, God is a God of a second chance. Ugandans were given an opportunity in 2006 to change, to have peaceful change of power with the provision of the term limit. We squandered that opportunity and it is gone. But because God is a God of a second chance, the age limit is a second chance for us. Please, Ugandans, don't squander that second opportunity, because God also is a just God, but he's also an angry God who does not spare people who do wrongly. Please wake up. This is our chance. Now, having said that, surely on the issue of the dead comrades, I am not a fighter. I have never been in the army. I may not be competent to comment on those army issues, but I am a mother, I am a wife, I am a sister, and I have had to care for the orphans of the foreign comrades. My brother who died, who was a bushfighter and died, and I have to carry the burden of all his children, and up to now, having got them educated, they don't even have jobs. I know what it means when those people fall and die. And I know they may make promises there that we shall care for these children, but I know what goes on because I have a personal experience. I want to say, though, that I know this issue of Somali started long ago. I remember America was in Somali. They fought and fought until they were killed, and they left because they could not sort out the problem. Now my concern is Ugandans have been there, assuming that they've been there on good basis, 10 years now. My question is, what are we supposed to do in Somalia if we are a peacekeeping mission? Is there a peace to keep? Are we supposed to fight and be killed? What is the chief objective of our sons and daughters being in Somalia? What is it that we want to achieve? And after 10 years, that we have not achieved. And how long how long? And these people, parliament, who pass these laws that those children go there, do their sons go there? Do their sisters go there? Do the head of state, does his children go there? These people who have died, actually, most of them, I have a brother-in-law in Somali, the husband of my sister. I had to ring and say, are we all right or not? And she told me that the people who died actually are the soldiers. He told me it is the soldiers because is I think a captain.
I need to bring in
all
Chairman
these
Mao.
poor people are dying. What happens to their relatives
Chairman Mao,
afterwards?
I need your view on the Somali mission as well, and in light of what has happened. But probably you can help us. Is there any mission in the world which has been endless and you know, without a tail of it?
First, I have to convey my sincere condolences to the families. The truth is, these soldiers, irrespective of what we think of them in relation to the regime we oppose, are Ugandans.
Yeah.
They have wives, they have children, and the female ones have husbands. I'm really sad that this has happened. And that's the reason why very few people can be presidents of a country, because to take a decision that sends people to their death is not a decision everyone can make. But some offices are created for purposes of those decisions. Americans tried Somalia. They fled. Now they have subcontracted Africans. And for us, I think it is a noble mission. But no country should have an open-ended intervention in another country. I'm proud that Uganda is spoken of in very
glowing manner,
with a lot of praise. And Ugandan soldiers are respected.
True.
That one I can tell you. I've been to Central Africa. It was our troops guarding the governor of that province. Uganda is considered an anchor state, primarily because of the capability, real and projected. In the region, I think UPDF is respected. But this mission in Somalia now needs to be assessed with clear eyes. I don't think it should be defended simply because there are allowances that are higher than the normal salaries. I don't think anybody here on the front line would be willing to die for a fee. First and foremost, the money should just be a byproduct. Secondly, the objective is not primarily a Ugandan objective. We are there because this is an African position we have taken as the African Union. Somalia has cost us a lot. Some of the deaths have resulted from error, like the helicopters. Others are simply the terrorists. Now, it is good that we should confront terrorists at their base rather than waiting to confront them from Uganda. I don't know how much we would lose if the terrorists were here. But my own considered view is that when we have these kind of missions, these are actually the very topics that should be discussed across parties, not just land. We live in a country where none of us gets any security brief. The president of Uganda thinks if he shares a secret with me, I'm going to come on the front line and say it. I think that's a very childish outlook. every leader of a party, a serious leader, should be seen as a potential president. And therefore, you don't have to start looking at government issues the very day you land in office.
As
you should already have at least 50% of what a sitting head of state knows, provided we develop the culture of trusting one another. As I talk now, I've never been briefed on Somalia. So that's why I can't say much. My briefing is only when coffins arrive.
Sadly.
Thank you, Doctor. First of all, about NRM monopolizing Chankwanzi and Mao seeking to be invited as a guest lecturer. There are only a handful of people who go to Chankwanzi. Mao still has all the rest of Ugandans out here accessible to him. If he wants to convince Ugandans, they are all accessible to him. He doesn't have to take them to Chankwanzi in order to convince them to follow his side. So that's one. About Somalia, it is unfortunate, and condolences go to the UPDF family, the particular people who died and their families, really. But when we join vacations, like the soldiers join vacations, intelligence personnel join intelligence vacation, these are things that we are prepared for well in advance, that when you go to war, whether abroad or even here, death or injury is bound to occur. That does not mean we should be reckless with the way we engage with the enemy. Now, deployment in Somalia, UPDF is not a mercenary army. And therefore, the motivation for deploying UPDF soldiers in Somalia or any other part of the world cannot be because of the allowances, as Honorable Mao seems to be insinuating. Absolutely not. UPDF is not a mercenary army. We have had many deaths. Look at the insurgencies we have had in the country. How many soldiers died because they were killed or ambushed by CON, ADF, and so on? Many. How many soldiers or civilians died because they were killed and ambushed by Karamajong? But let us look at why UPDF deployed in Somalia. First of all, we have said this many times, the need to support the rebuilding of the Somali state. We can say that since 10 years ago when UPDF deployed, there is now a government of Somalia elected within Somalia. Previously, they were electing from Nairobi and so on. Now, there is some government in Somalia. We hope we can help them through the African Union, through the AU, through the UN, where we are a community of nations, to make our modest contribution to stabilize that area. Good. By doing so, I think we have also been able to prevent the sources of terrorism, particularly the flow of arms into our country. Karamoja, as we all know, is now much more peaceful. Let us just look at South Sudan, where we are condemned and so on and so forth. Our modest intervention had stopped that escalation of violence in South Sudan. Now we can see that we are now hosting 1.2 million South Sudanese refugees. Yes, I agree with Mao that after 10 years, or even not 10 years, even if there was no death at all, there is, I'm very, very sure that there is constant review. What we need to appreciate is that this is a strategic decision made by the head of state in consultation with other world leaders for the good of world stability, for the good of regional stability. I do believe that this government listens. It doesn't deploy specifically or carelessly to put its personnel in harm's way.
Good.
But we welcome all constructive criticism, and we would want those who think that we can handle this matter differently to put those issues on table. That's why, and Parliament is open. Honorable Chivumbi, you can bring that matter for debate in your committee on the floor of Parliament, and the government will be glad to accept the enrichment you can bring.
Good. Honorable Sechitoleko Kafero, your word on this as an MP.
As we wind up this talk show, I would like to send a message, first of all, to all Ugandans in regard to the age limit issue. Honorable colleagues in Parliament are not trying to give away or to sell the country like it has been alleged by some section of Ugandans. We are actually trying to find tenable solutions to this situation that is before us. So attacking members of Parliament will not yield the desired results. Actually, on the contrary, engaging them with debate and feeding them the necessary information and encouraging them to stand for and on behalf of Uganda, in the interest of Uganda, will be much better. On the issue of Somalia, I really commiserate with the families of the deceased. It is really a sad day. Our gallant sons who were on state duty could die in such a manner. But we were briefed as members of Parliament on this issue, and we were meant to understand that deploying in Somalia is actually trying to keep the problem where it emanated and probably trying to sort it from there instead of waiting for it to be sorted in Uganda. Because if you could recall what happened in Lugogo, Ragibe, yes, Ragibe ground, and in Kabalagala, it was really, really bad news. So we could not wait for such instances to take place again. So we thought deploying there was logical, and it was part of the bigger plan of pacifying Uganda. So it is a noble cause. Therefore, politicizing it would not be so good, because it would demoralize our forces there. Let's stand together with them in this moment so that they can stand strong and defend this country.
Good. Finally, Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi.
On the question of age limit, there's something you touched, that there should be a trade-off between lifting age limit and restoring term limit. Uganda should not fall for that, because the people who are lifting age limit will turn back and still lift the term limits. Because there will always be Parliament. so that will not add up anything, because there will be also mobile say, but those who had the chance, as of Honorable said, that let also make our mistakes, let us also be fooled, be misled. There will be another group, not me, that will say,
let us also be misled. They go into it knowing they will be misled.
So that is not so foolish, yes. So that cannot be a solution. Secondly, unlike Honorable Mao, I occasionally get privileges to be briefed as a member of Committee of Defense and Internal Affairs, sometimes in a closed session, about some security issues. Whether that is classified in brief, I don't know, but some kind of a brief.
That's good.
About Somalia, there are issues we need to interrogate as Parliament, but as a country, across the board. Whether going forward it's sustainable, or we are being trapped in a war we will never win. And for how long shall we stay there? There are tactical benefits of our being in Somalia. Tactical, I know them. From from the way the 6,000 of each brigade are taken there, and it supplements soldiers' income. But I was on TV. I just seen something there, very critical. He talked about gratuity of foreign soldiers. Today, Honorable Mao.
Is it there?
No, that's what I wanted to give you that.
Today.
Let me inform the country. Today, are the areas, gratuity, salary areas, stand at 2.8 trillion.
Is that for only the soldiers in
No.
Somalia?
That's what a national...
For those who are alive,
for those who are alive, state people who owe money to the state to the stand
2.4 trillion shillings.
2.8 trillion.
2.8.
Not soldiers only.
You don't have to be
generally, in Uganda.
Generally, it stands at 2.8 trillion. In this year's budget, we only money to provide only 300 billion out of 2.8 trillion. Therefore, as people clamor for their gratuity, for their pension, for those who have died, really, we are paying all kind of fellows. I saw the other day some Somali was paid 68 billion to sort that woman out. Amina.
For sugar.
For sugar. Now, there are some humble Ugandans that need their pension, need their gratuity, need their salary areas. Families are dying.
But you know, foreigners are considered.
Good. Wind up, Honorable.
That internal brief raised that.
So all that I'm asking.
What's the sensitivity of government to its
people? Sensitivity
especially the foreign and widows.
Those orphans.
I know. I have
let us find the money, really, to wipe out the areas on our books. And my humble appeal to the country, General on age limit and others, please maintain the pressure.
Yes.
In our villages, in our churches, we've been loud on land. Let us be louder on age limit, because the people who have the habit, the other ideology of taking your land, are the same people who want to lift the age limit. As long as the king is there, so your land is not safe.
Good. That's the voice of Honorable Muhammad Mwanga Chivumbi. He is the MP for Butambala in Butambala district, and is a shadow minister for internal affairs in the opposition. He's a DP MP. Together with his colleague, the DP president is here, your boss, and together with his colleague, Engineer Sechitoleko Kafero, who is MP for Najifuma. Thank you so much, our guests, for coming, and of course to the special ones, the frontliners, Ofono Opondo, Chairman Norbert Mao, and Dr. Miriam Matembe. Happy birthday to you, to the front line. No, I can tell you, I know that something big is being prepared for you, the frontliners, and you will have the privilege to invite your viewers and people like Honorable Chivumbi and Sechitoleko, who come here to join us for the debate, to inform the nation on whatever is going on. We shall definitely have time and invite you and have a better discussion. And I need to also thank our chief of protocol, Pablo Bashir. He makes sure that Tamarai provides us with coffee. Tamarai is a restaurant found on plot 14, Lower Kololo Terrace. Thank you so much, Pablo. And to all those who lost their loved ones, the family of Rurangaranga, late Rurangaranga, condolences, and to all those who lost their family members, we commiserate with you. Until next week, have a good morning.